Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock. This is Capitol View.
Good Sunday morning to you. Welcome into Capitol View. I'm Jay Bir. Last week, U.S. Senator Tom Cotton stopped by our studios to talk about a myriad of topics. Here's part of our conversation. And he's back. It's been a while. It's only been about a month here. But Senator Tom Cotton back in action here in studio with us. And boss, we always appreciate when you're in town here and you come visit here. We got a lot to talk about this round. I know we talked about a lot of stuff the last time, but it's never a dull moment up there in Washington.
You could say that again, Jay, especially these days.
Absolutely here. Okay, so a couple of big things. I know one of the big things that you're in town for here recently was the WOTUS. And for some of our folks out there, it's Waters of the United States. Yeah. Kind of dealing with some of that. You know, I know there was a decision that was sort of rendered last year on this, but now we're kind of getting into some of like what does this actually mean? So the Waters of the United States regulation is an Obama administration regulation that the Trump administration withdrew and replaced with what they call the Navigable Water Protection Rule. And I think the contrast of those two names kind of says it all. The Trump administration appropriately focused on the navigable waters of the United States, which the federal government has always overseen. So think about things like the Arkansas River or the Mississippi River, where you have lots of commercial traffic. With the Obama-era rule, the Waters of the United States rule expanded beyond those navigable waters to every creek and stream and pond and even puddle. So it was a big infringement on the rights of farmers and ranchers and foresters, homeowners, to do what they wanted with their own private property. So I think it's a wrong way to go. We've already protested to the administration their efforts to withdraw the Trump-era rule, because we suspect it'll be replaced with something as bad or even worse that you saw in the Obama administration, which would be bad for every Arkansan who owns any piece of land. Now this is just oversight of what they can do with it, not necessarily, you know, oh, you can't build on this necessarily, but kind of how it's cleared and things like that.
In some cases, it could be that. It could be, no, you can't, clear this land on your farm. You can't allow your cattle to graze on this land. Even, again, if you just are a homeowner and you want to, build a shed, or you want to buy a lot and build a new home on it. Right. No, there may be those kind of restrictions on what you can build. And at a minimum, there's probably going to be much more red tape and bureaucracy for you to jump through before you even put, say, a new storage shed or a new garage on your property. That's not the appropriate role for the federal government. Our state governments can do a perfectly good job of regulating those activities. That's historically what they do. Nor is it really a constitutional role. Our Constitution entrusts regulation of navigable waters to the United States government. Everything else should be done at a state and local level. I think Arkansans are pretty good stewards of our own land. We don't need the EPA and other bureaucrats in Washington dictating to us. And I guess, too, sort of what's the spirit here? Because a lot of times you may not necessarily agree with sort of the take on it, but you can at least understand where the thought process is coming from with this. So I guess kind of why, in essence, basically infringe further on some of those waterways, and when we get into sort of the offshoots of some of the bigger major waterways? Well, I think it's an effort by the far left in Washington to regulate more and more of our private lives. You have a lot of progressive activists in the Congress and environmental lobbies in Washington who don't like the fact that you have new subdivisions being built. They don't like the fact that you have farmers and ranchers, clearing land to be able to put it to productive uses. They want to restrict economic activity. It's consistent with their efforts to pass the so-called Green New Deal, which would radically restructure our economy. Most Arkansans I know want to both be able to do what they choose on their own land, and I trust to be good stewards of their own land, much more so than some environmental lawyer or lobbyist in Washington. And obviously, the big thing that a lot of folks have been talking about, this kind of seems to be sort of the ongoing conversation for months, is infrastructure. Sort of where are we at on that deal? Because it seems like everything is kind of agreed upon, but kind of not really at the same time. Yeah, so last month there was a bipartisan agreement reached by some of my colleagues on kind of a top level of spending and various revenue measures to pay for that. I think most Arkansans would agree that we do have genuine infrastructure needs in our state and across the country, whether that's repairing old infrastructure, like the bridge on I-40 between Arkansas and Tennessee, or it's building new highways, building new bridges, expanding broadband out into rural Arkansas. I think most Arkansans would agree on that. What we're worried about, though, is the Democrats may not be negotiating good faith here. Now, I know it'll be shocking to you, Jay, and a lot of your viewers know that sometimes politicians don't act in good faith. Yeah. But I think Joe Biden set a land speed record for this last month when he endorsed the bill and then 2 hours later threatened to veto the bill unless he also got his multi-trillion-dollar taxing and spending package as well. Now, he has since walked that back a little bit. Yeah. But Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are still saying that they are not going to let one pass without the other. And not many Arkansans with whom I speak want to see, you know, a bridge repair or rural broadband being held hostage to the Green New Deal, or tax breaks for rich people to buy electric vehicles, or the kind of amnesty proposals that we're now hearing Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders want to wedge into this legislation. So I think most Arkansans recognize and agree that we need some investments in our infrastructure. What they don't want to see is trillions of dollars of unnecessary taxes and spending.
And when we come back, more of my talk with Senator Tom Cotton. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
It's a difficult call to make. You're injured, it's not your fault, and you need legal help. The last thing you need is a machine or call center somewhere. At the Brad Hendricks Law Firm, there's no call center or recorded menu. When you call us, a Brad Hendricks Law Firm employee answers live, and we connect you to an attorney anytime, even nights and weekends. Our attorneys listen, and we will help you decide what to do. Call us statewide. We appreciate your time and trust, and we show it.
The pain level was over 10. There's days where I just sat and cried and asked the good Lord to take me. And my doctor recommended that I go to Good Feet and try the arch supports. And I took about 3-4 steps, turned around and went and sat back down and started to cry. It was the first time that I had no pain. I'm not an actor. I want people to know my testimony. I want them to know what arch supports can do from Good Feet.
See for yourself with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
Attention Lake Hamilton home buyers, vacation rental owners, and investors. Luxury Lake Hamilton home auction, Wednesday, July 14th at 11 a.m. in Hot Springs. With an incredible move-in ready 3,800 square foot home. 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. Large back deck with a beautiful lake view, patio with swimming pool and boat dock. Selling fully furnished on auction day. Go to WilsonAuctioneers.com.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
Everyone shops the other furniture stores, then buys from Overstock Furniture and Mattress. Why? Because we sell the same name brand furniture except thousands below price. At Overstock Furniture and Mattress, everything is in stock and ready to take home today. We don't ask you to wait weeks for your new furniture to be delivered. Find it, love it, buy it, take it today. Plus, with mattresses starting at $99, no one can beat our up to 70% off name brand mattresses. 0% interest and no credit needed purchase options available. Everything in stock at Overstock Furniture and Mattress.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back into Capitol View. Senator Tom Cotton had some strong words about the Olympic as we gear up for that time again. Here's more with Senator Cotton. The Olympics are coming up pretty soon here. Everybody seems to be bursting with pride when it comes to the United States, and everybody becomes sort of a pseudo-expert in, pirouettes and gymnastics, and, everybody all of a sudden knows how to run the 110-meter hurdles. Now, Gwen Berry was an interesting figure the past couple of weeks here. Got third in the hammer throw. You had some pretty strong words for her. What did you think of her stance on when the national anthem was playing? Because we've all seen that pic there of her looking fairly perturbed when the anthem was playing.
Yeah, well, I like most of your viewers, I love watching the Olympics as well. It's the combination of two great things: athletics and patriotism. And I think it's very simple. If you want to represent the United States, if you want to wear the stars and stripes, if you literally hope to have our flag raised while our national anthem is played on account of your victory, you should respect the flag and you should respect the anthem. Miss Berry obviously disrespected the flag and our anthem. I'm not sure exactly what her problems are with our country's flag, but if she can't respect the flag on a medal podium during the U.S. tryouts, then she shouldn't be wearing the Stars and Stripes representing us in Tokyo. That's true of any athlete. Look, it's fine. You can play your sport in other competitions. You can express your opinions. But if you want to represent the United States, you should respect the symbols of the United States.
Now we've seen forms of protest during the national anthem because it tends to get this type of attention. Now I guess whether you disagree or agree with whatever the point of view is that's trying to be put out there, do you agree or disagree with that moment in which to do it?
No, I think that's an entirely inappropriate moment to protest. The flag is a unifying symbol for our country. There are young men and women today who are Miss Berry's age wearing that flag on their uniform as they serve overseas in our armed forces, defending her very right to protest. It may not be illegal, but I think it is deeply offensive to American traditions and customs, and we should all show respect to the flag. There's plenty of times and places to protest or to try to advocate for this or that policy that you think our country should pursue when you are literally wearing the Stars and Stripes on your uniform and hoping to be the reason the Stars and Stripes are raised higher than the other flags and the national anthem is played. You should respect the flag and the national anthem.
Another interesting thing when it comes to the Olympics, or at least to the U.S. team here, Sha'Carri Richardson actually tested positive for marijuana. Now, a lot of folks will say that's not necessarily a performance-enhancing drug, but at the same time, a rule is a rule. So I guess being kind of one of the leaders here in the country, what's sort of your take on that? How do you think this needs to be addressed, especially with, I know a lot of the arguments have been now, there's handfuls of states that have made this legal. There's other countries that have it legal. What's the big holdup here with the Olympics?
Well, you're right, the rule is the rule, but some of the Olympic committees do apparently have some authority to grant exceptions to that. I think it should be taken on the totality of the circumstances. I think Ms. Richardson said she was dealing with some mental health issues. I'm not sure where she was located at the time, if she was located in a state where this had been made legal under state laws. I'm not sure what the past practice and custom of the International Olympic Committee and the U.S. Olympic Committee is. If there's been a blanket policy of no exceptions whatsoever, then I think you have to stick with custom. But if they have made similar exceptions in the past, I'd hate to see the woman who won our U.S. trials not have the opportunity to compete because, as you say, it's not exactly a performance-enhancing drug. Even if she can't compete in the women's 100-meter, it is my understanding that the 30-day suspension will expire before the end of the Olympics, so she can still represent the United States in the relays.
But would you like to see that maybe overturned in general or allow that exception because of some of the situations that have now evolved in the country since the last Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the path that many states have taken to make marijuana legal, not just under exceptional circumstances, like, for instance, medicinal marijuana, but to commercialize it and then actually aggressively promote it, is a step in the wrong direction. Marijuana today is much more potent than it was, 50 years ago. It is often a drug that leads to other drug use. I do understand, though, that some states have taken those steps, and we've got to accommodate and account for that reality in the way that these rules are enforced. Again, I think it's something that needs to be considered on the individual factual basis of the case. It may be the case that these Olympic committees always just say, absolutely not, there's no exceptions whatsoever. If so, then they need to stick with that practice. But if not, I think they want to evaluate it in light of all the circumstances.
Now the border situation, I know, again, that's another one of these topics that just kind of seems to be evergreen. What do we see there? Has Congress made any updates or any progress on the situation down there?
Well, the border is in total chaos. I was there a couple months ago to see firsthand and speak with the Border Patrol. These Border Patrol officers, men and women who joined because they want to protect our country's borders, they want to keep our country safe the way all the men and women of law enforcement do, have essentially been turned into social workers. They have to account for all these young children and their families. They have to care for them. When meanwhile, just a mile or two up the river, you have cartels and human traffickers who are smuggling across drugs or gang members or other potential criminals. This is all a direct result of Joe Biden's policies. Kamala Harris went to Central America to try to find the so-called root causes of the border crisis. I could have saved her a lot of time. She could have just gone to work because the root cause of this crisis is in the White House, and his name is Joe Biden. As long as we are allowing people to enter our country on baseless claims of asylum and not doing what we were doing last year, which is telling them they have to seek a claim of asylum, the first country through which they pass, usually Guatemala, just because of the geography of Central America, or they have to stay in Mexico while their claim is being adjudicated in the United States, our border will not get back under control. It will get even worse if President Biden, as has been reported, lifts the so-called public health exclusionary order that President Trump put in place. I mean, we're seeing surges in coronavirus cases on the border, no doubt because of unvaccinated illegal aliens who are coming to this country. It would be the height of folly to reverse that order, but that's what news reports say that Joe Biden is doing. He's taken no steps to try to dispute those news reports. If you think the border crisis is bad now, just wait until Joe Biden totally opens the border to everyone.
Now, one thing a lot of people have noticed here at home, gas prices going up. It's summertime, though. You're around the July 4th holiday. It's to be expected, but up 44% from this time last year. Now, you figure some of that is the economy's back up and running, but it's also a 7-year high. The OPEC Plus folks were going to have a meeting on upping production, canceled that. So I guess, you know, for countries like the U.S., kind of what does that mean now going forward here, or at least in the short term?
Well, I think it means that gas prices are going to be pretty high, unfortunately, all across Arkansas and all across our country. Look, this is no doubt in part a result of President Biden's policies to make American energy more expensive. And markets are responding to that. They are anticipating that it's going to get harder and harder to explore and produce oil and gas in America. I mean, on the very first day Joe Biden took office, he stopped the Keystone Pipeline, which helped bring Canadian gas into the United States for refining and production. He's continuing to make it harder to get new permits or to get leases on federal lands or in federal water. The market sees that, and the market knows that what was once surging American supply in the oil and gas market is going to be declining, and it's accounting for that. One of the reasons why it's so important that we establish energy independence in America, especially in North America with our Canadian partners, is so we're no longer beholden to a cartel like OPEC, or that we're no longer beholden to countries who are hostile to us like Russia. It's so we can produce the oil and gas we need in this country and on this continent, and we can help international markets by even producing more than we need so we can export it to create more jobs here in America.
And when we come back, COVID spiking in Arkansas, plus are we headed back to the moon? You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Let's go! It's summertime, so let's go outdoors. Check out the new Clipper, available at the Sherwood location. Let's go! And shop us online at KikosCountryRV.com.
Watch Fishing with Big Sarge every Saturday night from 7 to 8 p.m. on KARZ. Powered by Central Arkansas Mahindra, Mark McClarty Ford, Greg Orr Marine, and the Arkansas Game and Fish. Fishing with Big Sarge.
When we switched, we saved over $450 with AAA auto insurance.
When I switched, I was able to save over $450 with AAA insurance a year. So that was pretty spectacular. And, you know, right then and there, I signed on the dotted line.
Switch to AAA insurance today, and you can save an average of $537 on auto insurance. Compare that to State Farm, Geico, even Allstate. Call now for your free auto insurance quote to find out how much you could save.
Those savings are absolutely passed on to my other passions, so being able to support my art habit, buying art supplies is phenomenal.
The money we've been able to save from our AAA insurance, we're able to put that money back into our food truck and our flavors and put it back into our business. There's nothing more American than barbecue and AAA.
To find out how much you could save by switching to AAA insurance, call 877-464-9014 for your free auto insurance quote today. AAA Insurance, helping you save more.
It's time to breathe new life into your home or business. Restore the glory with 360 Pro Power Washing. Siding and brick, decks, driveways and fences, work equipment and barns, shopping centers, parking lots, and the list goes on. At 360 Pro Power Washing, we're reliable and professional. We'll wash away your worries and the dirt. So give us a call today and check us out on Facebook at 360 Pro Power Washing. We don't cut corners, we clean them.
Let's go! It's summertime, so let's go outdoors. Check out the new Clipper, available at the Sherwood location. Let's go! And shop us online at EcosCountryRV.com.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back into Capitol View. Hospitalizations due to COVID are steadily going up despite vaccine numbers climbing, albeit slowly. Governor Hutchinson announcing last week the Delta variant is now responsible for about half of the current COVID cases in the state. He's encouraging businesses to allow for employees to take time off to get a shot and time off if they experience some mild side effects from it. Despite going over 1 million vaccinated recently, Arkansas is still one of the bottom 5 states in the country when it comes to vaccine rates, something that is concerning to Dr. Joe Thompson of ACHI.
Many other states are well over 50%, some into the 60, 70%, and those are protected areas, if not regions now. Our state continues to be unprotected, and I'm afraid we're going to pay the price.
The governor will start having what he calls community COVID conversations to have an open dialogue about COVID-related issues. And the first one was this past Thursday night in Cabot at the Veterans Park Center. The governor hopes to have more stops announced in the coming days. Nurses have been working long and stressful hours, especially during the peak of COVID over the winter. But as numbers are beginning to surge upward, many nurses thinking, here we go again. Hannah Ray is an RN at Conway Regional. She's been in the COVID ward since the beginning and remembers the pinnacle of COVID this past winter.
That period was scary. It was probably the hardest battle that we had to fight.
She and the other nurses at Conway Regional say they are apprehensive at the trend of COVID in Arkansas the past 2 weeks.
A lot of us have a lot of thoughts and memories and worries about what happened last year, and is that going to happen again this year?
Knowing more so what to expect if another surge does occur has some nurses not quite as stressed as last winter.
I think it's a little bit different this year because we know what to expect. We know what we're getting into right now, whereas last year we had no idea what was to come.
Between understanding the virus better, finding better workflow techniques, and better treatments, nurses are more prepared than at the peak of COVID. Ray says the biggest thing their staff understands now is they are not alone.
We're a team, so we have to take these patients as a team.
She says their administration understands the pressure and stress they are all enduring and is doing everything they can to alleviate that stress.
We need to take a day off. If we need 5 minutes even, we can cover that just so someone can take a break and someone can pause for a second and realize, okay, this is what we're going through again. Let's do it.
94% of COVID cases at Conway Regional since June have been from those who are not vaccinated. Ray is afraid with vaccine numbers being so low, it will lead to another and much worse surge than in the winter.
We have got to get people vaccinated so that we can prevent what we're seeing in these numbers going up.
And according to recent numbers, 65% of Arkansans still unvaccinated. Well, former Pulaski County Election Commissioner Josh Price says he's running for Arkansas Secretary of State in 2022. Price joins the race as the first Democratic candidate. Republican Secretary of State John Thurston is running for re-election, but faces a GOP primary challenge from State Representative Mark Lowry. Now, Price says his platform is protecting voting rights of every Arkansan.
Everyone across the state of Arkansas should have the same voting experience. It shouldn't be easy in one county and harder in one county, or more inconvenient in one county, and then you go across the street to vote in the other county. So just making sure that it's that same policy and procedure followed across the whole state.
And just a reminder, the Democratic primary is in May of next year. The general election will be in November. As billionaires fight to lead the space race, NASA is focusing on its own race to space as it plans its first moon mission in more than 50 years. Our Washington correspondent Kelly Meyer sits down one-on-one with NASA administrator as they continue to count down to takeoff.
This is the core stage.
Bill Nelson is surrounded by inspiration to get America back into space.
We've got a lot of exciting things that we're doing.
35 years after Nelson launched into orbit, he's back as the head of NASA.
Truth be known, I'm like a kid in a candy shop. Actual capsule.
Now, not only have the crafts changed,
so notice the different design.
But so has who is sending them into space. Groups like SpaceX and Boeing are now partnering with NASA to lower the cost of space travel.
Encouraging the development commercially of space.
Nelson pushed for this partnership when he was a senator. Now as administrator, he's seeing NASA take off to new heights. In 2024, Americans will shoot for the moon for the first time in 50 years, aiming to land the first woman and potentially first person of color on the moon.
It's reflecting the diversity of our country.
The first test flight is scheduled for liftoff by the end of this year in a spacecraft that could push humans further into space than ever before.
We're going to launch the largest, most powerful rocket ever.
With the help of new partners and developing technologies, NASA is entering a new generation of exploration. Nelson can't wait for it to take off.
We are right at a new dawn of the space age, and it is an exciting space age.
Reporting in Washington, I'm Kelly Meyer.
If you're in the market for a new car, heck, even a pre-owned car, you're not likely to find any of those super good deals anytime soon. Car prices are up, and there's very little inventory of brand new cars to choose from. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic created a ripple effect in the car industry. Manufacturing stopped, and there's still a shortage of microchips that go into those new vehicles. Now, local dealers say if you can do it, the best option right now is probably a trade-in.
But if you totaled your car out or your car broke down on you and you had to go start over, you're having to pay that high price.
Now, Ward says he doesn't expect to see a big drop in prices anytime soon. He says the industry isn't likely to have enough new cars until October, maybe even into November. The Arkansas State Fair is back in business this year. Fair officials made the announcement this past week. The fair was canceled last year due to the pandemic, but there was still the taste of the fair to get your fried food fix. But it is full fair this coming year.
Full fair, what does that mean? Well, that means we're going to have a carnival, we're going to have a midway, we're going to have the games, the free attractions, we're going to have the pageants competitions and the talent competitions, the creative arts, the canneries, the pie contest, all of that stuff that you've known and loved for all of those years.
As long as we got a Gravitron and a Tilt-A-Whirl, I'm in. Organizers are asking people who have not been vaccinated to wear their masks. The fair will be from October 15th through the 24th. And we are back to wrap it up after this. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Come out and play sale going on now at Family Leisure. It's time to get out of the house, and Family Leisure has just what you need. We've reloaded our inventory with an incredible in-stock selection of pools, patio furniture, swing sets, spas, and more. But you better hurry, it won't last long. Also, drastic markdowns on all remaining game room items, theater seating, and massage chairs. Come out and play sale going on right now at Family Leisure.
Welcome to the Arkansas Scholarship Lottery Tour of Arkansas.
Today we're in Little Rock. Let's talk to some winners.
I turned a $5 scratch off into $100,000 playing the lottery. The first person I told was my mother. She asked me, how do we know we won? And I said, because we're looking at it. Not only am I a winner, but my sister is an Arkansas Lottery Scholarship recipient, so it's a win-win for our family.
Join us on our tour of Arkansas. This is winning. Ain't nobody lucky as me.
I'm Amanda, and I'm winning.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And that is it for this week's show. Programming, no. We're actually going to be off for the next 3 weeks due to the Open Championships and the Olympics. But we'll be back on August 8th with an all-new Capitol View, and we will see you then. Enjoy the games. Go America.